Welcome to the Sirens of the Mother podcast, a place where we wax lyrical about all things mother, from the divine to the damn right dirty. And it's my pleasure to have you here as we cut through the noise and distortions of our current narratives. So, welcome to the first guest call of Sirens for the Mother. And I can't even tell you how excited I am to have Mary. We've just had a little tete-a-tete, but we just thought, let's press record, because what I want with these is to be just free-flowing conversation. And I know we've both had this call to put red on, the fire's here, we're just going to go for it and see what comes. And this is Sirens for the Mother, a place where we wax lyrical about all things mother, from the divine to the damn right dirty. And I'm just excited to get started. I met Mary, I think, a couple of years ago online, and she came into my field. And one of the reasons why I wanted her as the first person is because she speaks the language of the mother. That for me was just like this resounding bell that went through my body and just activated me and opened me and just attuned me to this energy and essence that was just this pure call. And I remember being in a container with her for a 6-week container with a sister friend. And again, I don't think I've been activated and open so much. And I wanted for my first podcast for this sound, this pure crystal sound of the mother to come through. So welcome, Mary. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And this is my ring. This is that essence of that sound you talk about. And
Mm-hmm.
when I'm right here and we're both in red, I just like my whole body is settling, and it's like I just feel what I'm feeling from you, and I always felt from you, but now I see it in this beautifully honored space, is this bass tone of like this magnetic beating mother drum of accountability and richness, accountability and richness. And I want to cry
Yeah.
because we're here, we've landed all the way to there, and nothing will disrupt that connection now for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's just feel that for a moment,
Mm,
because it's been a journey, right? Getting here,
yeah,
getting to this place where we can really sit in the truth of who we are, why we came, and the resonance that we bring around the mother. And boy, for me, sometimes it's such an ethereal feeling, not just because it is an ethereal energy, but because it's like it feels almost make believe, because it's
yeah,
like, oh my God, I'm here, I'm in it, and I'm transmitting it, and it's clear. And and the minute that kind of happened, so many of us came together, in our field, because for me, it was quite a lonely journey for a while, because I had to let go of so many people in my field just to be in line with this energy. And I was like, oh my God, I'm back to Billy No Mates. And yeah, where are the women who are speaking like this, who know this sound?
mm,
Because what I want for the people on this call to understand is that it's not an intellectual thing. It cannot be understood with the mind.
yeah.
So when myself and Mary speak, because I know Mary's going to really drop in today, I can feel her already. I'm like holding on to my seat.
Hold
Is,
on to your socks.
is that just feel what's being said with your body,
Mm,
because it really is. Like I was saying, when I met her, it was just like this resounding sound that went through my body, and a transmission that awakened aspects of me that were ready to come online to deepen, like Mary said, into this medicine of the mother. And it is
yeah,
so needed at this time. I cannot even express how much it's needed, because she's here. and she needs the vessels on the ground to bring this transmission through in such a bigger way, because as you can see, all the dross is coming to the top to be skimmed off. But if we're not in place holding this frequency, the new grade of the mother matrix is going to be really shaky, and we want a smooth transition into the next iteration of who we are on this planet as human beings. So this is the call. This is the call. Mary, my love.
The new grade, you say the new grade of Mother Matrix. This is it. And it's like people are coming into attunement with it, and we are helping with that, or we are compelling it and being that. And when you speak of that deconstruction of losing so much, and we chose that, and well, was there a choice? I don't know, but we took the steps of initiation to allow. I would guess most of us didn't have that much of an ego to begin with, actually, so it wasn't that hard to drop it, because we have had this insistent inner knowing, inner voice, and we have always been in a world where we have felt insulted or desecrated in some degree, most of the time. My refuge was with children, because you can give endlessly to children and there's no desecration with that, and they grow. But anyway, that's that. But what I want to say is that we released so much, and we rose. And when I say we, so the releasing the ego, I was releasing frameworks of safety, security, which is egoic kind of fences, or somehow isolation fences, or survival fences. And we rose as these clear, taking our steps, like listening, receiving the breadcrumbs, doing what we were told, rising to be these clear pillars, these clear channels of Mother. And it's only in the togetherness that it makes sense, because we are in our we are held with immaculate harmonics. These are tones of creation, and then our receiver, as we have clarified it and resurrected it, our crystalline pillar, we've resurrected that because of listening to inside and honoring inside, no matter what that meant, and not bargaining with that, and not negotiating and taking the blows for that and the hits for that, or whatever, and just like rolling with it, and knowing this was becoming stronger. The voice inside was stronger, and the voice inside was to be answered. That's what we answered to. And we resurrected these crystalline pillars within. And then to see these crystalline pillars, and these sounds that these tones that we are emanating, these tones of creation and I see them as colors and sounds, to see how they have now cohesed into this matrix, like you say. They have taken over whatever the shadow matrix, let's say the spell line matrix, and they have just infused, and now we are cohesed, and we can feel each other, and we are breathing as one. We are actually one body of Mother. We are holding everyone, and everyone is within, is doing the holding too, or being brought to doing the holding. And it is crystalline, and it is immaculate, because we will not hold. We are not a dumping ground anymore. And it is only when we fully embody and connect with each other and come to where we are now, which is Coco's a dark wall with the golden print of accountability. It's where we are now, where everything is settled in this moment, that we were able to come to this place. This tells me we are settling into, the eternal eternal accountability, because we know that women operate in different bandwidths, and we have different places and different tones. And the spiritual bypassing, the disembodiment, is a complete dishonor to the women of the body. And we all have bodies, but have been women and men who have this deep, deep embodiment. They cannot get away from the desecration. Some of us have been able to disassociate, right? Some of us are able to fly away and disassociate and disembody. And it's only when we come together we realize the wholeness of our power and our responsibility. And now this is what I see it. We've actually made it to that place where we are together in accountability, and in that accountability we are together in pattern, and we are together able to rise in the one breath from the correct pattern that does not exclude anyone, that has full accountability.
Yeah. I mean, I really want to pick up on a few things that you said there. One about the resonance of when we come together. I mean, every time you say that, I should, because it doesn't make sense until we do. Because, like you said, we all have these tones, our unique individual tones that we come in with. And once we align with that and come together with this resonance of the mother, it's like this beautiful harmonic sound, and which attunes you, which helps you align, which removes all the dross, and that's within us, but also within what's going on with the planet, which is why so much is shaking up now, because it's just this beautiful sound is just coming through, and it's a tone like no other. The only time I can say that I heard that tone is when I had my near-death experience and I was taken back to the womb of the mother. Some people call it the void. It's not a void at all. It is full of life. It is lush. And now everything makes sense of why that happened in my life. And I want to speak to why that happened in my life, because I know you said that letting go of the ego was easy for some, because it's what we did. It wasn't easy for me. Oh my God. I ended up having to, like, my soul just switched off and had to bring me back online, because my ingrained patterns and what I'd suffered in my life was so ingrained in me to make me feel lowly, you know, the lowest of the low. The amount of abuse and trauma that I experienced, it was like the only way that I could detach from those stories that I'd been told about myself, because we are immaculate, pure beings born in the innocence of life, and that was corrupted for me before I even began, because I was conceived out of rape and all that distorted energy, and suffered like abuse on so many levels, that it was the only way that I could touch the thing that I was almost grasping for. Because, like you say, we know those seeds are within us. We know that resonance. We know that this is not the true life that we're living outside. We know that there is a harmonic and an organic way of living. But for me, it was like I just couldn't quite touch it. Every time I got close, it was like things would come in to pull me back off track, and so many things. And like when that happened, and I felt, every time I go into this energy, I want to cry, but that love of the mother, I mean, I cannot even explain what that was like, to have that one drop of eternal mother be put inside me to bring me back to life. And then knowing that this was my calling. To be the resonance of that. And like you say, it was almost like I got kissed on the forehead, and it's taken me like those years for it just to penetrate down into my body. So that I can be a carrier of this for this time, and not be phased and not be pulled offline. Because like you say, there's so much dismantling that happens in one's life to get to this point. And now I've just gone through another iteration of that. And like you said, it has become easy now. It's like, oh, just let him go. Let it go.
Here we go.
Here we go. Let it go, because we know now that it's part of the process of bringing back this resonance to life, bringing back the organic sense of life, and letting go of all the distortions that we've been implanted with around who we are supposed to be as humans. We are divine, you know, and And that thread that I've been following, that golden thread that has got me to this point, is like I said, it almost feels fairy tale like, because it's like,
Mm.
can I never thought I'd be able to feel bliss or joy
Wow.
of what I experienced. I never thought. I always had a sense of doom or foreboding, or um, like depression. And I really want to speak to that, because those are implanted programs. And I really
Mhm.
get that now. And the way that you spoke about that, it really helps me, like, just again, let them evaporate, because
Yeah.
they're not true.
Yeah.
So I just wondered if you could say a little bit
Yeah.
more perspective on that.
For sure. So when like what I always felt from you, and I feel it now, and I can, it's like a pulse. It's like this beating of the mother drum. And I've, of course, I've heard that people beating the mother drum, and it's beating it and beating it, and it's a calling, it's a weightiness, it's a calling downward. And so that was part of what I was tuning into. And now in this moment I can feel that, and I can feel what that is. And it is it's a calling of, you know, to end that feeling of being forsaken. And I don't just mean in you, I mean it's in the
Mhm.
body. It's
Yeah.
in the base of the body. And it's
Mhm.
like it's the calling back, and became so loud. So we are being called to account by magnetics. So we are being pulled into the body, because the body is the body it's the matter. Matter
Mhm.
is magnetic, it pulls in. The earth is magnetic, it pulls in. We are made of the same matter as the earth, and the earth and ourselves are pulling us into ourselves. And the squeeze of that, right? Because when, as our eternal self, as our purity is coming in, there's so much that has to go out, because they don't coexist.
Mhm.
So because so much of what we have been is like is spell lines, it's lies, it's like it's these frameworks built around, and it's so tight that it has to be expelled from the body. And the idea of depression is and stagnation. And we are being massively relieved of this at the moment. You see, this is why we're wearing red, because the eternal flame, the primordial fire, it's like a volcano, is really stepping up. Like it's time for that.
Mhm.
So this is actually there is supposed to be this fire protection for the water, and it is to intertwine with the water, and it gives upward, it helps that upward spiral, and it helps the activation. The depression and stagnation and the inaction and the fear and the trauma responses, where we go into just hiding, freeze.
Mhm.
um it's all survival, of course. It's all understandable. It's not, there's no judgment in it, but it's actually in the activation of ourselves that our protection comes. It's in the activation that alleviates the depression. There's like depression is just a natural resting state of protection. When you don't know how whatever it is you have to offer doesn't quite fit in, or
Mhm.
the framework is squashing you, so you'd have to depress yourself, compress yourself. It's a natural reaction to the way we have been asked to live, and the roles we've been asked to play, and the frameworks we've been asked to fit inside. And the way out of this is activation, and it's breathing bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's never to negotiate with depression or all of the other things that get built around us to hold and push in. And we self sustain them, obviously, ourselves. But it's like we, with those spell lines, with the words of the inner voice of like, oh, this is how it is. You've always been this. You have no other way to expect. These continuous, and we do this to ourselves, these little loopings that tie us back into our limitation. But we are breathing out, and we are breathing with like breath of fire now. There's so much fire assistance right now to breathe the depression and the stagnation. These are all just those cloakings. I call it the false soil of shame. Like we know this rich, we are at the rich soil now. We're at the soil that's full of riches. And emerging from this rich soil is the jewels of the hearts of humanity. All of our colors, all of our minerals, our richness, like what we're made of, the elements. and they are emerging, and we are feeling them vibrationally, because we are coming to the place where we can command the elements to, and we have the will of the creator within our hearts, and we can command the way we want it to look, so we can paint the dream the way it's supposed to be. And those, I call it the false soil, because it's like, it's we keep ourselves there to be safe, and we keep refeeding ourselves with this false soil of secrets and shame and sadness and depression. And there is a feeding. We're feeding from it. We're being held. So it's like, it's the soil of that does not regenerate. It's a soil that just about keeps us surviving. And then we are just allowing the breath is changing our soil into this richness. Like you said, it's not a void, it's a richness. And we are in that expelling with the breath and the flame through the soil. We are feeling the richness vibrationally again. We're feeling the potentiality again. We're feeling what we can reach for, what we can actually dream for, and what we're actually made of, as opposed to this vacuum of apathy and abandonment. We were tied to a breath of abandonment. Our breath was siphoned into the frequency of abandonment. We had a program of abandonment running through us, so that our breath could be utilized to give power and life to something other than the immaculate body of Sophia, the immaculate body of Mother. The immaculate body of Mother is receiving all of the breath right now. All of the Creator's breath has been commanded back to animate the body of Sophia, which is what we're talking about, the Mother Matrix. So yeah, sorry, that is just a bit whatever, but it's like the frequency of abandonment was actually imposed, and that brought us to the place of depression. Yeah,
infused within us. Because for me,
yeah,
it's literally like being, like you said, uprooted from the distorted mother, like false mother, like imprints that we've been given, and then uprooted and plugged in and buried in the deep dark soil of the true organic mother. That's the only way that it was like being repotted in
yeah.
and instantaneously everything began to one align, lift. I felt light, bright, and just connected to life for once. Really connected that, and really feeling that I am part of life. I am part of this cohesive sound of life and the mother that is here to nourish us. Because like you say, that false matrix is very scarce. It's all about survival. It's all about dog eat dog, winner takes all. Just scarce. It's just scatty and scarce, and it has us in this like perpetual like motion of going forward, because it feels like we're never going to get there. We always have to grab and take and strive and push. And really, we're meant to be able to just surrender in life and receive, like mother's milk, as I say, and be nourished by life, not this false like hood that we've created, that everyone's like scrambling just to find a sense of self that doesn't fit, because it will never fit. It never fits. That distorted pattern will never fit, and we can't fix it. We can't heal it. We can't. I think we kind of got lost in the spiritual world, in that it's like we're trying to fix a story that's not fixable. Sometimes when we're doing the self-development work and we're just doing, looking for an answer, but we can't find it there, because like you say, it lives eternally in the body. We have to come back to the body. There is no like searching out. That tone that you were birthed with, that original blueprint of you, is inside the body, which is why, we're all about embodiment and really feeling the essence of that. And a lot of what I speak to now is the colours for me are really important. Me and Mary, we both are here in red, but we didn't decide to wear red. I actually was late for the call because I had something else, and it was like, no, you have to go get red, go change and put red on. And because it is for me, red now isn't that primal color of the base that is like red alert, you know,
Yeah.
keep us in high alert. For me,
Mm.
red is the passion of the heart. It's the immaculate heart, and that's the color of what my heart like matrix and like whether you want to call it chakra portal, whatever you want to call it, is now,
Yeah.
because it's where the thing that gets cleaned out, it's the thing where the passion and the fire just cleanses the whole of the being,
Yeah.
um, and just brings it back onto line in such a beautiful way. Yeah.
And there is like, I've seen this ruby red plasma in can like as a river that can connect, come from all of us and literally heal things instantly. And I
Mhm.
think that's what we're in the moment of now, because this is the fire. The fire has offered itself in devotion to the water. The intention of water
Mhm.
is love. The intention of water is love. So we have taken the war out of the womb. We have taken the war out of the water. The intention of water, of the womb, the eternal birthing water, is love, as it always should have been. But we have ensured that that took some work, right? But we are there, and now what has happened is that this fire has attuned itself enough and offered itself in devotion and singularity to to the love carried in the water. And by doing that, this is resurrecting now this eternal balm, this planetary salve of this ruby plasma. And this is what I feel is just coming through now. This is what
Mhm.
I've been sleeping with my I wouldn't take this off for the past few days. I'm like, this is coming until we're all covered in ruby like, I'm not letting go of this. And it was like so hot last night, but that's what I'm feeling now, this ruby plasma. I'm wanting just to talk about that body, like you said, about coming to the place within the body. And I want to talk about the destruction of the root races, no, not destruction, the disconnect between the deepest root races, which are the magnetic pulling, the magnetic calling to order. And there it's also the source point, like the pattern behind you. It's the source point of primal authority, of a right, like it's primordial authority begins from the root. So the interference and the attack and the abuse that was done to people at the root level through sexual abuse was to create that disconnection. And as we are sitting here right now, that has been healed. So that is that we are one. We are in this oneness again. And this is for everyone's root.
Mhm.
Um, like the power rises, power of nature rises. We are trying to come back and remember what the true creator is. What is the true creator of life? We are in this, the reason religion and sodomy have been so closely intertwined is because it allows the the memory at the root level to be broken of who the creator actually is, which is our mother earth. And it allows a false god to be placed overhead, and
Yeah.
it allows us to be held in a shadow of shame that is generated by this horrendous trauma into people, actually to people, but also within the consciousness. It was always known that threat was there. That threat was always there, not just within, not just by religious people, but all of us, because it was in the consciousness. It was a dogma in the consciousness. It was a programming in the consciousness. The threat of that was always, of sexual abuse, was always there for everyone.
Mhm.
So as that fracture is healed, the real creator rises through us, and the authority that is supplanting all false authority on this earth, including religions, false governance, any power over occupational forces, the power that is supplanting that is the rising power of innocence. And the fuel, like the ingredients, the fuel of innocence is the primordial powers of the elements, like earth, fire, air, water. We can, and the portal of it is the crystal heart. So we can command. We're being brought to a place where we can command. We will be the authority. Innocence is the authority on this earth, because innocence is the voice, the will of the child. We know how willful children are. They're always rushing towards growth, freedom, and evolution. They don't see limitation. They don't see frustration. They don't, well, unless you tell them no, but they see endless freedom, endless growth, endless evolution, and they don't take no for an answer. It's the will of the child. The will of the child is the strongest will on this earth. And that's where we're coming to, the will of innocence. And all the different creational principles within us, if we want to say mother and father, masculine, feminine, whatever we want to say, they are in service to the child, as it is with us as parents. Any parent who, we might go in at the beginning with a really strong, heavy hand. I'm going to be the authority. I'm going to have perfect children. Within a couple of weeks, you've given up, and time does not exist. It's the baby sets the time. The baby is the clock of the house, right? And eventually the child's will breaks you. And then you start behaving, and you start giving everything, and you start believing in the child, because the child's will is so strong. It overpowers everyone else in the house, even the clock. The clock does not exist. Daytime, nighttime, nothing exists. The child is the pulse of reality. The child is the pulse of reality. And that is, we have come to a place. I'll just say this one thing about the sun. We have come to a place where the sun has been reformed. We have rebirthed the sun. I want to give voice to the power of the creational mothers on this earth, including Coco and myself and many more, who actually rebirth creational principles. We have rebirthed the sun to be of the golden child, to be of the golden magnetics of mother, the golden pulse of the electrics, which people would say father, or the sun is the word. Anyway, I won't go too far into that, but it is the directionality, and the sum of that is the child. The child is the sun is our child. Our solar plexus is the child. And what we are seeing now, the solar plexus, the sun is a magnetic, like a magnoelectric generating power station within our body. This is the child. And what we are seeing now is the will of the child taking over, because it is the strongest thing on earth.
There's so much to say. I feel like I need to get a pen to remember all the things that I want to speak to, because this corruption at the root that happened to us all through our sexual kind of essence, the very thing of our life force, we all got created through sexual life force, that got corrupted and got siphoned into these distorted, abusive imprints. I cannot tell you how grateful I am that that is now cleared out of my body, and that my role is remembering that erotic, innocent blueprint, that aliveness in the body. And we, of all the mothers that I know that are coming together now that have this resonance, all of them have got their unique flavour of the innocent imprint that they're bringing forward for us to remember. And I love that yours is, you talk about the way that you talk about the child, the divine child within, is just so, just so pure for me. And for me, it's like that pure erotic innocence that I'm bringing, that exuberance and that radiance that got corrupted and lost. And so it's a really big thing, because we all know how corrupted that is on the planet right now, and how many children get trafficked into sexual abuse, violence, and that now we can really, like you said, cement and hold that frequency in our body for that to be totally pattern disrupted and cleaned out and eliminated and gone. It's just like, it's what I live for. It's what I live for, and what I went through all that for, to bring that into this reality, into being. And when you were speaking then about the waters, I just want to clarify for people that as much as it's an elemental thing, because trust me, when we do our work, I guarantee there's always a storm, there's always a wind, there's always like waves whipping up. It's like the elements have come to assist us. But the waters that Mary's talking to at the moment is about the waters of life. And we have all been swimming in dirty waters of life because they've been corrupted. And what's happening now is that the pure, like embryotic fluids of the mother are coming into reality time space for us to breathe them in like we did in the womb. The womb is being clarified, the mother's womb is being clarified, and it's being clarified and cleansed and purified within the body of woman, because woman is a reflection of the thing that created life. And this is why I hype on about the female technology in the body, not because I'm trying to exclude anybody, but we have, as women, a unique imprint to bring at this time because we are a reflection of the macro. It can't be any other way. And I'm sorry if people get offended when I say that the wombs of the world have a really important part to play. It's because it's just a fact. They do. The womb of the woman has been on this planet, as you know, even now, the legislation to try and squash that energy down because it's known how potent that essence and energy is. And for me, my part of my mission is to get women in tune with that.
Yeah.
Because we can't do this without it. And it's what it's for. It's not just a vessel of procreation and to make babies, it's to generate life on the planet and plug it back into the planet so that the planet can come into full harmonic resonance. And this, I'm going to speak something here now, because when you were speaking about the sun, some people know that I no longer tune into the lunar essence of whatever that for women. My womb is not connected to that anymore. It's connected to the solar essence of the golden imprint of life and mother, because my body used to get so battered about by this. Well, for me, it felt like a false infiltrating essence of the lunar. And so that's just where I stand with that. And I don't think I'm going to go any more into that right now, but I know Mary has shit to say.
Shall I? Shall I do it? Do you want to hand me the torpedo there and I'll do it, Coco? No problem.
One of the reasons why I brought you in, because it's like, I really want to set a tone for this podcasting series of guests that I'm having. And I know we have very, very different views of how we relate to the feminine and how the collective of women have relate to the feminine and what we've been told how we're supposed to relate to the true feminine essence and all that. And a lot of it, for me, I've had to put down and let go because it just made no sense to my body when I started plugging into the true matrix of the mother. I realised that a lot of it was inverted truths and untruths to keep us as women swimming and looping in confusion, high emotion, low emotion, this way, that way, spinning it in ourselves, in our body, and not being able to fully stand erect as women. And I know so many of my sisters now are being classified with so many disorders and whatever else, and a lot of it is because we're plugging into what I call inverted truths around the female body. And I'll let you come in there.
I would love to blow the moon out of the water. Please let me. That sounds wonderful. So, and literally, that is the word, blow it out of the water, because we are holding the water. So when I speak of water in any terms, I'm talking about the full water that holds all of creation, like you said, the womb water, which holds the memory and the knowing, the building blocks of everything. Within the waters of creation, it's like there's an imprint of what we are supposed to be. And it's that water is constantly calling us back to fill our place. And that water comes through the intuition, the intuitive voice, the water voice. It is the purest voice, because it is the symbiotic voice of us with our mother. You know, it is our mother speaking through us as the child to pull us back into the wholeness of her memory of us. Water has memory, and we are all remembered within the birthing waters of mother. And in this moment, the intention is to birth us as big giants, big eternal giant babies, all of us in everything we've ever been, everything we are in this one body. That's why it's a bit, you know, like all of the expelling and everything. But yeah, blowing it out of the water um is the expression because it's in the water. So we have to, this is our water. So let's have a look at it. You know, if somebody comes into your house, you have a look at them and say, why are you in my house? So that the moon is in our water. So like, let's have a look at it, right? So the thing about the moon, what I have known in my own knowing, and I always take things step at a time, breadcrumb by breadcrumb. And that's the only way I'm allowed, because I'm not allowed you know, have my own dogma, let's say. You know what I mean? We're not here just to take over a fallen system and be with fallen architecture. We have to have the architecture of rising, and that does look like breadcrumb after breadcrumb, initiation after initiation, you know. So in my knowing, the moon was emanating. I can't even tell you if it still is, because I have no attunement with the moon whatsoever. But it was emanating like you said, it did feel like an imposition, because it's emanating a false sound. So the presence of mother is sound and magnetic. The presence of mother, the creational presence of mother, is sound and magnetic. Sound opens space, sound holds space, sound holds, it forms matter. Magnetics, it's like the beginning pattern, the vibrational pattern that calls everything into a particular pattern, into form. So magnetics and sound. In my knowing, the moon is a inorganic, in the desecration of the mother. This was a tool of war used to emit a false sound. From what I can tell, the moon creates the magnetic, and the sound was coming from the black heart of Saturn. And some people have actually heard that sound. It's audible to some people. I know people, especially electric, very highly electrical people, which is often men, but not always, that have been hammered with this sound, hammered with words of suicide consistently, hammered with words of, you know, abandonment, lack of passion, apathy, darkness, a constant pulling into this death space. So that is what I found, that there was a sound wave coming from the moon, or held by the magnetics of the moon, coming from the black heart of Saturn. So that's how I know the moon to be, and holding us in this place. So if we are to say the feminine is the moon, let's be clear on that. This is a lot of the words. Remember, a lot of the words that are all of the words that are used are much younger than we are. So they are attempts to define what we are through limited language, often spoken from highly programmed people. So even to negotiate with the terms, you know, it's actually an insult, to be honest. But anyway, we can do that. So if we're talking about the woman as a moon, that she is a man's shadow, and that the man is the sun and the woman is the moon, and she is the man's shadow or the man's subconscious. What I know woman to be is the magnetic of creation. Now, my magnetics don't come from the moon. My magnetics are of the golden magnetics of the sun. That's what my magnetics are. And that's what I expect every woman's magnetics to be, so that we can birth the golden child, that we can birth the golden reality, and not continually, perpetually rebirth the subconscious impulses of the masculine's shadow. That is unacceptable. And it tingles all over my head as I say this. It is a place of a wanting to abandon, a wanting to throw oneself away, cast oneself into somebody's shadow and say, save me, day in, day out. What that actually does, when women operate with that magnetic, that causes them harm, of course, but the primary reason for it is to siphon the light of the masculine off this planet back to another machine. The machine of creation is mother. It's a magnetic. Well, it's combined, but the magnetics are the primary part of a machine. They generate the engine. We are, you know, do we want to continue to feed our electrics away to a beast machine, which I believe is actually dismantled. In my knowing, it's gone. We all were part of that. That was a massive team effort. We all have the scars of that one. Well, not the scars, but the war stories. Oh my God, it's gone. But now we're like, okay, so what do we want to generate then? And it is that powerful and simple. We don't get to be in somebody's shadow. We don't get to be the damsel in distress. That's not who we're here for. We are, if we do that, we abandon our place within the channel of propriety, within the channel of lineage, grandmother, mother, daughter. We have to take our place within that. There's a continuity, and there is prime creational um, authority. Like, we cannot, to be liked, or to receive a place at the wrong table, to be welcomed into the arms of a salvational man who's actually sacrificing himself. We, those dynamics of relationship are all like creating, conjuring up more and more karma, more and more like phantoms and embodiments of shadow and subconscious that then we have to interact with. And there's no need for any of it. So we're moving, and there's no judgment. I just speak harsh because I want to be clear. There's no judgment. These things were imposed, but I want to be clear, and I want to agitate that out of people's consciousness if possible, or invite the agitation. The moon is an imposition, and it ties us into limitation and finite shadow. The purpose of it is to bring our magnetic to sacrifice our magnetic, offer our magnetic to the generating of the bad dreaming of the subconscious, the shadow of the masculine, who wants ultimate power. Now, this isn't to say men want ultimate power, but this was done a long time ago when it was decided, and that isn't even, is masculine even the right word? Patriarchy, like it's not the men I know.
It's not the men I know,
Yeah,
but as
yeah.
you said, it's a construct that was created that created this patriarchal, heavy-handed, masculine
Yeah.
aspect that's on the planet, which has taken us all off like kilter. But like you say, it has implanted something in the mask. Ultimately, what it
Yes.
has, it's distorted the masculine so that it just wants power, war, greed, which then subjugates the feminine, who then want rescuing, saving, safety, security, all this kind of weird distorted thing. And I just kind of want to breathe because I know a lot of what we said is that people are going to be going, what you say? What was that? And so I just want again to iterate, what we're saying is meant to be felt through the body. It's not something you can analyze or try and understand with the mind. Because if you try and understand it with the mind, you're going to filter it through the stories that we've been told for millennia about who we're supposed to be as humans, whether that's in a male or female body, and it's not true. And so breathe. Come with a curious heart. Come with a sense of, I don't know what they're saying or even why they're saying that. And it's bringing up a lot of things in me because Mary is an agitator, as she said, and I am a person that was born on the cross of tension. So I'm here to create tension in the body, especially when I'm talking truth. And so it's triggering. I know that. But we're saying this. And as Mary says, once we get into our channel, we say it a bit harsh and we say it with ferocity because we're meant to. Sorry, not sorry.
Yep. Not sorry at all.
We are.
There you go.
And it's just the time for it. And this is why I knew you were the first person to come on this call, because it's like, I can no longer be wishy-washy. I'm here. We are here to cut through the dross, to cut through all the distortions that came in when the language was imprinted with all this distortion that took us out of the body into the mind and plugged us into a distorted reality that is not true. That desecrated the feminine, that desecrated the goddess, that desecrated life.
Yeah.
And we're not
Absolutely.
messing about anymore, because it's like,
I know.
I can no longer talk this rubbish. It's just rubbish to me
Yeah.
now. And I'm not saying, like we say, we're not saying this in a judgmental way, but it makes no sense to the divine aspect of our being to just continually say the things over and over because it's what we've been taught to say. And as Mary said, I really want to just dig in a little about this, having this sense of responsibility, because trust me, I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to be this. I wanted to plod along and, you know, just sing my little song and not go against the grain and not, you know, ruffle feathers and all that jazz, because I wanted to feel comfortable. Like the feminine wants to feel safe and secure and comfortable, but I'm not here for that anymore. I'm here to feel they get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, because I know I have a divine responsibility to bring this through, and I can no longer hold the imprints of the whimsical kind of fluffy feminine that needs saving. We are the ones that are here, that are imprints of life.
Yeah.
And I just have to get in that program and really be with that. And so I thank you for your strong voice, Mary, because it really helps me just say the thing. Just get
I know. I hear you. I have that desire to feel safe. I just went through a very difficult month. I was very, very sick, and my children were sick, and there was a really bad storm, and I felt that human woman frailty. I'm not always, superhero, let's take it all down. Sometimes I'm a human every day, obviously. But I'm just making fun of myself. But what I'm saying is like, I understand that. And in those moments, it's a challenge to say, okay, I feel this fear, and I did feel a lot of fear. So what are my options? Am I going to start resurrecting another layer of false protection for myself? Am I going to pull someone else into that? And before I know it, I'm enslaved again, and this is what's in my head. Or am I going to actually realize I'm okay? I'm actually okay. And if I need something, there's people I can call to. And it's a challenge. And I feel like maybe that's why January was what it was for me, because it's like, okay, Mary, you're free. So now we're going to hit you with a few things that make you feel frail. And are you going to start building in the messed up way again? Are you going to start building these frameworks of safety, which then turn into your ivory castle, which then you're invisible, then your voice can't be heard, and now you're somebody else's. We're all go through
completely it. No, and like you say, we go through this, and we sound strong in our voice because we are when we do. But trust me, like Mary, every day I have to come to this point of, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I saying? Because the programs are so ingrained in us not to speak truth, not to go against the grain, because we are habitually creatures of, like, what's the word? We want to be together, belonging, that's the word. We are habitually creatures of belonging. So it's like to go against and stand against the narrative that's been here for so long, especially when it comes to how the feminine is supposed to operate in life, can be challenging. And I got to a point where it was like I said, I was Billy Nervous, and it was like, I would rather be on my own and speak what I know that is coming through me than be with anyone. And the minute I crossed that threshold, like I said, the people that started talking in the same way as me and understanding what we were unplugging from in such a mass way as women started coming, and I knew then that I was on mission and on point. And I just really want to say that to everyone that's out there, that maybe hearing truth in what we're saying and it's resonating and it's coming forward. And many moons ago, I was told to gather the oracles, and I was told to not create a following, but create a mission. And I didn't understand what those were, but I woke up every morning with those words in my head, and I totally get it now that what we're saying is a resounding call to those that hear it. And please, if it doesn't resonate, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, I'm not here to debate it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't debate. I will discuss with you if there's things that you really want to understand. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't debate. I hold this as a crystal clear line of what I'm here to bring through. And I know Mary does too. And yes, it may change, because one of the things I wanted to bring up was when I first started on this kind of really tuning into this and surrendering back and letting the mother speak through me and letting the voice come through with clarity, I thought I I thought I was losing my mind because I couldn't remember anything.
Yeah.
And I thought I was getting dementia or I was told by the doctor that it was, it's part of the menopausal journey to have sponge brain. But now I realise it's because I'm not meant to remember all that false dogma. I am not meant to create my own dogma in my mind. I am meant to be a clear channel. And I think when we say clear channel, we don't get that. I mean, it's a clear channel, as in there is nothing in there. Yeah. Of the old. You can't remember anything.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so it's like you just think, wait a minute, am I getting older? Have I gone older overnight? Can I not remember what I was doing 2 minutes ago? And it's like, no, because being a clear channel means that sometimes there is nothing there, and we are the hollow flutes that bring through the sound of the mother. And sometimes it doesn't even make sense to us, the words that come out, until we listen back.
Yes.
And this is why I'm saying just listen with an open heart and a sense of, through the body, because the mind kind of gets switched off after a while. And we live from moment to moment, day to day. And this is like building the muscle of intuition and building the muscle of faith and building the muscle of sensation, because we are sensational beings. And so many women get conditioned to think that our hypersensitivity is something to be afraid of, that we're feeling everything. But we are the antennae that is bringing this through. And so the next step, as Mary said, that each day we learn to hold more. We learn to build our capacity to bring this through, to be the solid channel, and our internal masculine grows to help us support this. We are not meant to outsource our masculine to the masculine to be saved. Our internal masculine is the energetics that will help us bring through our message and our voice. And I really needed to say that because so many people going, what are they saying? Why are they so mean about
when you have so
into? But go on.
But I'm feeling that masculine now as this flame, which is wonderful, because I gave enough space for it to birth. I didn't clutter my consciousness with what I wanted a masculine to be. Of course, there was attempts, but I pushed enough, it allowed enough to allow this actual, what I really need, which is this flame, to emerge within. I want to just say, as a point of like, we are supposed to have teeth also, right? Every rose has has thorns. So remember, just I'm just going to pump us up a little bit now, right? Because we've been through enough. Okay?
Yeah, I want to just talk about the rose. Please talk about the rose, because that was the thing that made everything drop in.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. I love that. Every rose has its thorns. The rose is the beauty of the rose is in its unfolding, in its freedom, in its flower. That is the point of a rose. It isn't known unless it is open and vibrating. So we need to be in a place where we are able to be perpetually open and emanating the frequency of ourselves like a rose. That's what women are here for. Now, no one ever asks a rose to explain itself, does it? It just enjoys the rose, right? So do not expect us to explain ourselves. That's not an option. We have to also be very clear about, because there is programs with the women that we are supposed to be endlessly accepting, endlessly unconditional. And we're endlessly accepting, like the ocean. If you fall into the ocean, if you swim in the ocean, if you have a boat in the ocean, it's up to you how you interact with the ocean. But the ocean will accept it all. But it doesn't mean you get what you demand. You don't get to demand from woman. You don't get to demand from mother. There is a way of the womb. There's a way of mother. There is a way of the feminine, the high feminine, let's say. And you can learn the way of it. Like you can understand how you can learn the way of a rose by smelling the rose, by admiring the rose. You could try to ruin the rose by picking it, sticking it in a vase, and it's disintegrated. But we're getting wise to that, right? We're getting wise to that. We're inviting gardeners. We're inviting people who know how to take care and how to respond and to revere what we are. And this is not just about men, because this abrasion, this abrasive, you must answer to me. This is in women too. This is in men and women. This is an occupying energy that demands that people answer to them, that holds a set of, limitation, a fractured consciousness that they're holding together as best as they can. And then everyone they interact with has to answer to this fractured consciousness. That, it's okay to feel the insult and say, no, I don't need to do that, because I'm connected to source. I'm connected to reality. If I say something and it's not real, it won't happen. If I say something and it's real, it happens. It creates change. So that's my accountability. I'm accountable to that. I'm not here to fit in to the little, pipe dreams of everyone who comes towards me. And if it gets too much, and if it feels like an encroachment, then it may be time just to kind of, like, we do also have to preserve ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We have to preserve ourselves. And this is something that has been forgotten within the feminine consciousness as well. Because our value was always based on what we were able to give to somebody or add to somebody's life, or the life force we could give to somebody else's vision or someone else's dream. We've always been a kind of we've been a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if we allow ourselves to be a commodity, and when we follow that consciousness, which is, we're still unweaving that, we are degrading our presence here completely, and we are sustaining the occupier war consciousness, because all occupation is done upon the mother's body, on the earth, on the body of woman, on the womb. Literally, our children raised to fight and kill each other in wars. Like it's very personal. So I would offer, it's time for women to get a little bit more self-preserving with this,
Yeah.
and and to just know that your power is in your radiance.
Mm-hmm.
Your power is in your radiance, and is in your being. You are not to judge yourself off of what other people demand of you or expect of you or have become accustomed to. We are to be in channel with the eternal mother, with the presence of grandmother, mother, and daughter, and answer to that.
I really want to speak to that, because the programs of martyring self as woman is really strong, and one that was in my lineage for such a long time, that it took grit to unweave that out of my body. Hard work to read that out of my body. And also this sense of the feminine being a commodity. I give myself to so many people. The extraction was so strong, and like you said, it's the imprint that we've been taught, that the feminine gets extracted from. We do it with the earth, we do it with our bodies, we do it with everything. And so what's up for me now is, it's so beautiful that you just said that about the rose, about being just this radiant self and being like admired, but we have the thorny side. And I want to speak to both sides of that, in that yes, we have thorns, but it's not to be malicious. or to attack, or to, but like Mary said, it's to just hold and protection of the resonance in that sense, in the radiance, should I say. Because what I find is that suddenly when we begin to wake up as women, you know, the whole movement around the feminine, or well, feminist movement, feminist, I'm not a feminist anymore, was again this thing of us against them. It's not us against them, or it's not attacking the masculine, because they've had their own ride and they're unraveling as well. But I've had two beautiful interactions lately with guys who I can see that they're ready to blossom into their full masculine, but they still have that imprint of taking from the feminine, grabbing from the feminine. And like the way that I described it to them was exactly as you said, that as a rose, you don't, if you pick the rose, it's going to die. If you try and take it, if you try and crush it, it's going to die. Be in stand in its radiance, stand in its resonance, and then you'll understand what the feminine is and how to interact with me. And they immediately got it. And it's just such a beautiful kind of analogy to see then them switch into this exalted masculine energy. And it's not then me having to tell them, well, I need this and I need that. It's like, no, this is who I am as the feminine. Can you interact with that? And nature is just such a beautiful analogy for them, for the masculine, the men in the world, to kind of get what we're talking to here. But I also wanted to say about the rose, women embodying that as an imprint, because the work that I do around that is that when I first started seeing that rose, it was like the infinitive sign stacked up upon each other and then whizzing around, and then it formed a spiral, then it formed the rose. Nice. And it was like, oh, this is my work. This is why when I get people to walk the spiral, this is why they get imprinted with, you know, their innate sense of being, because it's just the innate, it's just the sacred geometry of life, this Fibonacci sequence, the sequence of unhooking from this anti kind of forward clockwise motion that we've been imprinted with, and then repatterning with this spiral and the rose. The minute you just have the rose in your mind, or a seashell or something, it brings you back into that remembrance that this is how we're meant to flow in nature. This is the natural order, and this is how the masculine and feminine work together in unison, within and without.
Yeah, the rose, that's gorgeous. The rose is the magnetic pattern. It's the correct pattern. And we are not to follow clunky patterns. And we have had a lot of clunky patterns with clunky voices, clunky convincing. It's all, you know, it's like, no, it's just this quietness, and it begins the rose, and that begins the spiral, and everyone is invited to attune into that. And we have, by our devotion to it, strengthened it to a space now where people are actually attuning and seeing the point. But people really had to run themselves out on the clunky pattern, you know, go to the full extension of their choices, get exhausted and come back. You know, we've all done that. We've all kind of worn ourselves out, and we're coming back. And then those of us who are holding this beginning point of the rose, it's offering it's a frequency of love, so it's the frequency of creation, so it makes everything moves through it in an easy way, like in an opening way, and it does begin that spiral that you talk of. So the rose is so important.
I really just want to honor the spiral, because again, and really just get into the mind of women that the things that you may see come through are not logical. When I had a dream to create that spiral, it was like, you want me to do what now? I had no idea why I was making it, no idea what it was for even. I just knew that I saw it in my head, and I just heard the words, make it. And And then it was like over a series of weeks, all the materials came just like that. I'd be walking in a supermarket or a store and I'd say, oh my God, that'd be perfect material. And then the next step came and the next step came, and it wasn't a logical thing. And then by the time I made it, the invitation to use it started coming in. So it was like that sense of, if you build it, they will come. Kind of thing, because I had no idea. But again, I just knew, because it was coming through that impulse of the mother, that impulse of, this is what you're here for, that everything would fall into place, even though I had no logical sense or concept of what I was making or why. And just to follow the breadcrumbs.
I would love to respond to that, because that was so rich. So when you speak of logical, what it is, right? As these intuitions, these impulses come, and that is how the creator speaks, impulses of the heart, and that bring joy and expansion or clarification, and intuition, the water voice. So as these are coming, what is happening to us? We don't have the framework for them, because the framework rises. So when it rises in the doing. I wrote this, like, unbridled horses find their rhythm in the movement, but they have to be unbridled first. They have to move, and then eventually their mad exuberance, like, of being released, turns into momentum, and there's a rhythm, and there's so actually the logic of nature, the order of nature, works like that. It works in exuberance, excitement, arising, and then it finds a rhythm, a momentum, and a pattern, but it has to rise first. And what we sometimes struggle with, and this is going, obviously, because we're seeing it and we're talking about it, we're looking for something outside or above us, something in this big coconut, to say, oh, this is, I recognize that. I know what that looks like. Yeah, you're allowed to do it. So you know what I mean? And then, but sure, that never happens, because all this recognizes is stuff that we've had to learn. Whereas it's actually the intuition that recognizes the beginning blocks of everything. We don't have an affirming framework for that. Because, like, it is like, when you build it, they will come. So we have to, like, wash this thing away with, like, let the water voice really rise up and just wipe this clear. I'm pretty lucky. This is pretty empty, to be honest with you. So I don't stop myself too much, but it is that occupying, like, overlord governance within ourselves, that is saying, this framework of, like, whatever we have learned and constructed, and we hold ourselves with this framework, it's looking down upon our intuition that's trying to rise and bring us all to freedom, and saying, no, I don't recognize that. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not going to work. And then we look outside of ourselves and we hope people will affirm us. They don't know what we're talking about, or maybe some people will, but often we'll meet people who'd say, no, don't do it like this. Do it this clunky way that I've done for 100 years. It never works, Whereas we know the logic, the movement, the rising, the growth, the true logic is in that spiral. That's how everything grows, right? I think so. In nature, everything grows in a spiral. Everything expands in that. So it's a complete, like, reorientation to think that our central brain is in our womb or in our water, in our belly. Like, that's our central brain, and everything else is supposed to serve that. So our gorgeous, intelligent, these, like, these neural connections are supposed to fire up with excitement and serve what comes through the water,
Yeah, which is why I don't debate, because it's like, it makes no sense to me. Because it's like, I'm building it as I go. There is no framework.
It's like, you'll see.
It's like, it will never fit those frameworks anymore, because we're building it as we go, and that isn't just the things that we are creating to bring into creation and life. It's all the blueprint that is happening now. We are building as we go. Everything is coming through us to be grounded here on the planet at this time, to build it as we go. And so again, just have that sense of curiosity when these intuitions and impulses come, because they are guiding us to create the new world.
Yes. And when we have the ping, right, it's like, like, ping, like this idea, like a light bulb, ping, don't turn it into ping pong within yourself. Don't turn it into, don't smack yourself with your own pong and be like, no, never going to work. I've seen this before. You're going to, all of that's pong. Just let it be ping. We don't want to play ping pong anymore. We're coming out of duality. We're rising with this central column of clarity. And when you get the ping, whatever that is, the impulse that says, do this, do that, do this, whatever, just do it. Just do it. That's the worst that could happen. The complete collapse of civilization. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. Yeah. We have to enjoy ourselves as well, it is the exuberance, it is allowing the will of innocence to rise, and like nature, look how good nature does it. It knows it never stops unless it's forcibly stopped, and it's the same with us. We will never stop expanding unless we are forcibly stopped, and at least we can stop forcibly stopping ourselves.
I really want to just say that about it's meant to have joy. Boy, did I make my life such a struggle. Oh my God. It was like I almost couldn't have joy because it was like I'd been programmed not to have joy. But like you said, that exuberance, that radiance, that joy, it is meant to be light and have some fun and joy.
Yeah.
Imprinted in there too. Yeah. Oh, I feel like we've said a lot.
We have said a lot. It's been amazing.
I feel like, that maybe this is good for the first call.
Okay. It's amazing. Yeah.
Unless you're feeling, shall we just tune in a minute and see if anything else?
Yeah, see if there's anything else that wants to be spoken. Just really that, nature has a rhythm, nature has a rhyme. We intrinsically have a rhythm and a rhyme, we have the pattern, we have the everything. And it's just about trust now. And it is about joy. Like joy is the frequency of birth. Mm-hmm. It is about joy and preserving that, let's not self-desecrate, let's not self-sacrifice, let's not self-deny, let's not abandon the body. And it actually does matter what we want, because as we have done so much to clarify the heart and to come into the way of nature, our will is the will of creation then. So it matters what we want to do, and we have to be able to we will, and this is what the fire is doing for us. We will be able to trust that. And it kind of, our future depends upon it. This isn't, we are not off, we are inviting, of course, but what we are speaking is an invitation for humanity's consciousness to purify so that we can stay here. It kind of it's a matter of survival, So of course it's only invitation. We can't force anything, or we don't want to, but let's be reasonable. Yeah.
Now you said that, there's like so many thoughts in my head. It's like maybe this is part 2.
Oh, say them. Be free, Coco.
Yeah, just the way that you're saying about hitting these desires that are in us, they're really wanting to be birthed, and it's for a reason. Yeah. Because we've been living so counter to who we are as humans, and this is what we came for. Is it? We believed in the mission. We believed in this time. I know for myself that when I first started having visions of this time, which was nearly 25 years ago, I was sectioned because I saw the world crumbling and I didn't understand it. But they weren't visions, they were reality. I was seeing. And at that time, talking about, oh my God, the world's going to fall apart and everyone's going to lose and there's going to be loads of death. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to get sexual because it sounded nonsense. And it sounded like nonsense to me too at that time. But now I know that there are so many people that are afraid of what's happening. But trust me, this is leading us to a more glorious time. Like Mary said, we are meant to live in joy.
Yeah.
We are meant to live in peace. We are meant to know who we are, and we are meant to be connected to our divine mission and soul. We all came here with a unique aspect that got plugged into an incorrect matrix.
Yes.
That bamboozled us, that made us believe that we were less than we are. And so, as much as this seems like a chaotic time, the thing that is pushing through to be birthed is magnificent and glorious. And I really want to speak about birth, because that's a whole nother shebang bang that's being contorted into pain and suffering for the behalf of women.
Oh, they love to see us suffer, don't they, Coco?
Yes.
They love to see a good woman crying and screaming, don't they?
Exactly. And I write about this in my book, that there is a glorious element of birth when the body is allowed to do what it's meant to do. We are not meant to push and force the baby out. When we have contractions, the cervix actually lifts over the baby. The contractions are the other way, it's not a force out. And this is why I'm saying we're not meant to force anything now. We're meant to rest back. And because we're on this false sense of time, it's like birth is on a timeline, you know, you're in, you're out, you push, you force. And then you rip open and we wonder why we're in pain. Like that birth is supposed to be orgasmic and have an element of, you know, that radiance coming through your body, that strength coming through the body of woman. But we've been conditioned to hand that over and to think that we're incapable of giving birth, to the point now where over 50%, I think it's higher than over 50% of births are done by cesarean section, elected cesarean section, because we've come away from, understanding the potent force of the feminine body. And I really needed to say that, because it's like, when you were speaking then about birth, it's like, we have a choice whether this birthing of the new world is done with force and fear and alarm and confusion, or whether we surrender into the arms of the understanding of Mother that birthed our life and can assist us in this moment in time to bring the energies through that allows us to birth with a sense of ease. I really want this to be more of an easeful, transition. I really do. And I watch what's going out on the world stage. I don't really buy into it, but I feel it. And I feel the fear and the sense of foreboding that's in people.
Yeah.
And I really want to say that, there are times when I have that slight moment of anxiety in myself, like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? It's like being on a roller coaster and you can't get off. But when we attune back into the body, it's like we remember that this is part of the process of the unraveling, of discarding all the dross that's not meant to be here, so that we can come back into the fruitfulness of being human. We are not meant to have had such a hard, harsh reality And I can truly say that with full conviction, because I made my life really hard until I was taken back into the arms of the mother and shown that there is a much easeful way to live. And I really want to bring that imprint back into the fold of humanity, because it's sparked in me, because I have a grandchild now and I am a grandmother. And so I have to step up and be responsible for what is birthed on this planet from this point on, for her and for her offspring too, if she decides to have any, you know. And so I really just want to come back to that sense of responsibility. And again, what it took for me to really embrace that, yeah, I'm a really stubborn bird. And it takes me a lot to
Well,
get
we had a lot of armor. We have had a lot of armor to get this far, really.
Yeah, lot of armor, and it's taken a lot of like surrender to really embrace the
never
fact
surrender. And then this is in my DNA. Never surrender.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, how am I
yeah,
gonna do that?
anything was like, no, I will not yield.
And then oh dear, okay.
And so it's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be a fight or a struggle to get there, because we are being fully supported for this transition. That's what I wanted to say.
I want to just second what you said about the birth. I 100% feel that, what you say, and I've experience of that. And I want to talk about when you speak, if you're speaking of the womb, you're speaking the voice of the womb to recall everyone back into the knowing of the womb. And when we're speaking about, you know, where the impetus, where the impulses, where the rising knowings and the ideas are going to come from, it's the word is, you know, everything is conceived of. So we are actually, nothing is new. Actually, everything is going to be conceived of, and the place of conception is within the water. So this is why the intuition is the leading voice for all of us inside, because the intuition, the water, the womb, has the imprint of how it is, how it all is in perfect harmony. And so when the impulses come from there, when the rising memories come from there, and sometimes it feels like an ache, sometimes it feels like tears of, I remember, like this, what it was for me with this fire that I was calling in. I was crying for that, you know, so it came from an aching place, an emptiness within the water, like the imprint. I remember the fire. Where is it? So the intuition has been used as a voice, like as an optional voice that people could ignore, or people could follow, or people, even that's another thing, used as a commodity, whereas people will you know, people, that's a deep program where oracles were used to support the takeovers and, you know, the strategies of warring communities. But our water voice is never to be ignored. Actually, it is to be honored as the voice of our mother, and the voice of birth, and the voice of beginning. Yeah, and it is, and the way of hearing it sometimes is to loosen it all out and get into that place of joy, you know, like you say. Everything you say, I agree with all of that. I want that too. I would love to see us moving forward and accessing, allowing everything to come through, because there is a master plan. There's a symphony that is beyond our individual comprehension, but we get beautiful dreams and intuitions and knowings about it. And the more we connect, the more we comprehend the symphony, you know, and then, yeah, just to allow it to be born. And we know the way of birth. We know the way, you know, childbirth is birthing the formless into form. It is, the womb takes gathers, magnetizes all the bits and pieces, all the elements needed to form a child. Well, that's in the beginning stage, but I mean, it gathers everything needed to bring this to wholeness. So it is the intelligence of the womb, the consciousness of the womb, of the mother, of the body, of the water, that is actually forming and then birthing this golden age for everybody.
Mm.
So yeah, and this is just a support system for that. Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly.
Mm.
Yeah. This is such a joy for me, speaking with you.
Me too.
And I really just got a hit then to do one of these, but as a round table with a few of us.
Yeah.
Just again riffing, because we all, like you said, bring these magical elements. I'm going to set that up because I've got who have been in your container actually, which I think would be absolutely magical together speaking, because I know there are things that really want to be said here as well. Again, but I'm just feeling, maybe save those for when we're all together. And I'll just ask again, do you feel there's anything else that wants to be spoken?
But just in support to what you just said,
please.
about the getting women together, these women who have devoted to embodying the mother and to channeling the voice of the mother. What is, and that has come to me as well, this vision of that there will be a vibrational certainty, that there will be no question, that the presence will be felt. So again, we will be the place where mother has been in projection, degradation, desecration, etc. That will vanish as soon as that vibrational certainty is felt. And I feel in that coming together, like you say, with a round table, or I see us walking into rooms together and allowing that to fill the room as the new reality, it was always there, but we have just been so devoted to being her feet on the ground and watching as people's consciousness and being just softens into the holding that is a vibrational certainty, because they can feel it. And I'm really looking forward to those moments.
Thank you, Mary. I can feel tears bubbling in me, because I feel that is such deep truth, and I can't think what I was going to say. But I feel it. I feel it. That I just feel it. I need a minute. I'm having a moment. But just that resonance when we're together, just emanating that sound, because I've been told many times that it will get to a point where you don't need to speak. You won't even need to speak. You just need to be, and people will instantly soften. And I think, what I wanted to say is, because and I've done so well, and I can't believe I've not sworn yet, but I'm going to swear. Humanity's been so fucked over when it comes to the mother. It's like, I cannot, sometimes I cry with just how much she'd been desecrated. Her name had been desecrated. The understanding of what woman is as mother has been desecrated. How I myself desecrated what it was to be a mother, because I just denounced it, because I didn't want to be it, because it was hardship to me, sacrifice, sufferance, losing of oneself. And I missed out on so much of the beauty of what it is to be mother. And now, when I first got told that my medicine is going to be for mother, I was like, are you sure you've got the right person? Did you know how crap, I wasn't the mother. Do you know me? And it's like, yeah, every single thing that I went through as a mother, all the times that I martyred myself, all the times that I got it wrong, all the times where I thought I wasn't a good mum, fed into this, because now they've been alchemized and I understand that the full essence of what we did as humanity to the voice of mother, to the sound of mother, to the embodiment of mother. And this is why I speak with such strong conviction around it, because trust me, I have had to feel some deep, dark wounds around the mother, and the mother wound that sits in women and men alike is heartbreaking at times to feel, because having gone through that doorway myself, I can feel it in people, and I know how soul destroying it is to have been ripped away from the mother.
Yeah.
And I also know the joy of what it is to be plugged back into the mother. And it's like, oh my God, I am so ready to gather as women and walk in spaces and bring this channel together when we're all together, as you said, amplified, and just be this boom, boom. Because sometimes I wake up and it's like my whole body's like boom, boom. That beat of the mother is like, okay, I'm on it. I'm on it. It's just this earthy, deep tone that just like you said, rattles everything that is untrue in my body, and it's gone. It just has to go, and then you come into that real sense of love and being held by life. Life loves us, and we can feel that just being cradled in the womb of the mother, just being cradled for one, because that's what it feels like. I surrendered my full being and was cradled by the arms of God, and allowed myself to weep like a baby for days and days, because those days that I was held in that energy and shown all the corruption that had been imprinted in my being and vessel around who I was as a divine child and who I wasn't as a divine child. The false prints around that. The grief was like nothing I've ever felt before, and as a collective, this is what we're facing now. This is what I feel in the field. Yeah. As the distortions get more wild in front of everyone's faces of what we've given our power away, these false senses of governance that we've allowed to hold us, and what we surrendered our power over to. Yeah. Oh, not surrendered, but sacrificed our power over to. When we come up against that, it can be grief striking for people, because they're not quite sure then what to do, because we've been so devoid of feeling full power in our bodies and full knowing and trusting ourselves. And so, yeah, when you were speaking then, I really had that flash of us coming together and holding space and holding that energy and resonance in a much deeper way. I really can feel that now, that, for me, I've had to be this lone wolf throughout, holding this, really attuning myself to this. But as soon as you were speaking, it was like, yes, now is the time to gather. It's like, oh my God, I can't. I'm so juiced up. It's like, and just beaming that boom, boom, boom. Because if anyone knows me, I'm really into house music as well, and to the point where I play it so distorted with deep bass because it's like
Nice.
just rattle me, just rattle my being.
Get me going.
Yeah, and that's what it feels like. This sound now that's coming through, the sound of creation that's coming through, is such a deep bass tone that I know when people feel it, they're going to feel the remembrance of home.
Yeah, there will be no doubt. There will be no confusion that they are held. They feel it under their feet. We're changing the ground beneath their feet, and all of a sudden they'll feel it, and they'll land, and they'll soften, and they'll open, and we'll have our garden again.
Yeah, our garden again. Oh my God. I'm just, I really feel that. I feel it so strongly. This garden of remembrance, just the mother world, as I call it, just this lush, like green land, where we can rest, be nourished. Yeah. Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. I've really just appreciated being in space with you and being able to riff and wax lyrical, as I call it. When I showed my daughter the like little blurb of what my podcast, she went, "What does wax lyrical mean?"
You'll see.
Oh, it's a bit much, that, and it's like, no, because that's exactly what I want these conversations to be, conversations where we're just speaking as we speak, in the moment, in the now, and just letting it flow. And I really appreciate you being this beautiful being, and I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you.
And I hate doing this bit, but where can people find you? And how can they get hold of you? Because I know you do these beautiful transmissions on Facebook, and I know that you do sessions as well. So
thank
just
you,
for people
Coco.
to know.
Yeah, I do some sessions, and I'm doing like workshops, which I really enjoy because I love to gather people, and I have a specific intention or a longing. Usually it's a question, because we can't, it's not dogmas. We have a question, an opening, and things come through. And I'm really enjoying them because you get all the benefits of like, you get healing energy, but it's that instant. You get it because you open, because you're activated, you know. So I love that. So my website is heartofgold.earth, but the best place to find me at this moment, because I'm not super organized, my website is Facebook, just Mary Costello on Facebook. Thank you so much, Coco. I can see we opened up a pathway. We have cast the line, and I feel the ping.
Yeah,
I feel the ping.
feel the pain. I love the creation of this, and I love just the style of conversations, no questions, just letting what be birthed in the moment. Deep
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on Sirens of the Mother, podcast where we wax lyrical about all things mother, from the divine to the damn right.